Hey guys, this is Rashab and I'm bringing you my episode recap of last Sunday's episode, Season 6, Episode 8, No One of Game of Thrones. And so there were 5 storylines this episode. We had the Hound continuing his storyline from last episode going after Brotherhood of Banners. We had Jaime in River Run. We had Cersei in King's Landing. We had Tyrion, Missandei, and Grey Worm in Marine, and finally we had Arya's storyline in Bravos. So I'm just gonna go in order of the storylines that I said, even though it wasn't the order of the episode. So we're gonna start off with the Hound. So the Hound, like I said in my last episode recap, he's one of my favorite characters overall from Game of Thrones. I was really excited to see him return. So at the end of the last episode, as we see the Brotherhood without banners, they end up killing the people, the village that he was living in. And he basically picks up an axe and he basically goes after, and that's how the episode ends. So we go back to his storyline. We see that there are some people from the Brotherhood. They're just hanging around a fire, just messing around. And then the Hound shows up and he basically kills them. But before killing the last one, he's trying to find the hideout of the other Brotherhood, because none of the main people who killed them were there. He's just killing everyone from the Brotherhood, which I think is kind of odd, considering like he said he was done killing, and it makes sense because that he wants to get revenge on the 3 who actually murdered the people in the village, but he's killing like everyone from their Brotherhood. So I feel like he's going back to his old ways. And even when he finds the people who did it, he finds out that the other, like the good members of the Brotherhood, like Beric and Thoros, they've captured them and they're getting ready to hang them. And the Hound's like, no, I'm the one who's going to kill them, and if you kill them before me, I'll kill you as well. So then Beric, he makes a compromise with the Hound. He's like, fine, I'll let you kill 2 of them, but the one of them is mine, right? Because the Red God promised me this. So the Hound, he kills 2 of them, and then Beric kills the other. And then basically Beric's like, look, we could use a person like you on our side, right? And the Hound's like, no, you're a bunch of religious fanatics, and I'm not about religion and all, which is ironic since he was working for the faith, building that church. But in the end, I think Beric manages to convince him to join the Brotherhood. He's like, the Red God, he let you win your trial by combat back in season 2 for a reason. And obviously you have a bigger purpose to serve, right? So the Hound, he's not really a religious person, so he just talks up saying, oh, I only won because I was a better fighter than you, that's why you lost, right? But he, like, as we've seen, like, religion plays a big factor into a lot of people's beliefs, and the Red God is probably one of the most prominent figures in Game of Thrones religion. So the Brotherhood without banners, they're basically saying, look, you're going to serve a bigger purpose, you just don't know it yet, right? So he manages to convince the Hound to join the Brotherhood, which is funny because when the Hound and the Brotherhood are first meet each other, we see them meet each other back in season 2. The Hound's basically like talking crap about the Brotherhood, saying, oh, you guys are just a bunch of religious fanatics, you're rogues, blah, blah, blah. He basically hates them, and now he's one of them. So I find that pretty ironic. And I guess we'll see what happens next with this storyline. Not next episode, but probably in this finale, since the next episode is dedicated fully to the battle in the north between Jon and Ramsay. But we'll get to that later. So then we cut over the River Run. So Brienne has finally showed up at River Run because if you remember, Sansa told her to go to the Blackfish and ask him for help because they need more troops to beat Ramsay. So Brienne shows up and she finds the Lannisters, like under Jaime's command, have already taken command, like siege of the castle. Not they haven't taken siege of the castle. They've set up camp there. So she finally reunites with Jaime, and it was nice to see because among I think all these dark and like I guess foreboding moments in the show, it's nice to have like some like light moments, especially because we got 2 reunions in this one storyline. We got to see Pod reunite with Bronn, and I like their exchange between Bronn's like, do you think Jaime and Brienne are making out in a tent or whatnot? And he's like, I'd make out with her, you'd probably make out with her. So it's pretty funny to see that, especially when Bronn's like, I'm gonna, like, Podrick's like, I've been learning how to fight, right? But Bronn, he doesn't fight with honor. He cheats, he tries all the dirty tricks. So he's like, I'll teach you how to fight for real. So it was funny watching Bronn teach Podrick how to fight. And then we go to Brienne and Jaime, and that was a second reunion that was nice to see, because we saw them really bond in season 3, especially during Jaime's, like, I guess, confession scene in the bathtub. So it was nice to see. So Jaime's like, look, I need your help to take out the Blackfish. But Brienne's like, no, I'm serving Sansa now, and Sansa needs his help. So I'm gonna try to convince him to stand down and help Sansa. And then Jaime's like, okay, good luck if you can, but you probably won't be able to. And then Brienne's like, I'll try, but know this, that if the Blackfish doesn't stand down, then since I'm serving Sansa now, I'll be forced to fight against you. And then Jaime, he looks a bit disappointed, but he accepts. He's like, I understand, and I wouldn't expect any other way. So Brienne, she goes to the Blackfish, and she fails to convince him. And I guess Jaime finds out, so then he uses Edmure Tully to go to Riverrun, the castle, and order everyone to stand down. And you could see that a lot of soldiers there, they were conflicted, because Edmure Tully is the rightful lord of the castle, but the Blackfish, he's like, no, you can't obey his orders to stand down. He's being forced to do it, right? And he's right. But the soldiers, they're loyal to their lord, so they follow his orders and they stand down. So the Blackfish, he escapes with Brienne and Podrick, but when he realizes that the soldiers are coming after him no matter what, he tells them, look, go back to Sansa. I wish I could tell her. I wish I could have helped her. But I gotta stand and fight for my castle, even if it means my own death. So he goes, he fights. Brienne and Podrick escape, and then we don't really get to see his death. But basically, you find out he died in battle when a soldier reports that back to Jaime. And I find that was kind of disappointing, because even in the books, the Blackfish is a pretty awesome character, and they built up this whole like battle between the Tullys and the Lannisters, and it was disappointing to see that we didn't get to see any battle, and the one fight that did happen, we didn't actually get to see it. We just heard about it, so I feel like that was kind of disappointing, and I don't know what's going to happen. I think the Riverrun story is done for now, so yeah, let's see. So then we cut over to King's Landing. So a lot of big things happen that really changed the way the King's Landing story might go down. So it starts off like Cersei, she's been summoned by the Faith Militant. They're like, look, the High Sparrow wants to meet you, he wants to talk to you, right? But she's not having any of it. She's like, the High Sparrow wants to talk to me, he comes to me, right? And so when they try forcing Cersei to come with her, the Mountain steps in, and then I like the exchange between Lancel Lannister and Cersei. So Lancel's like, order your man to step aside or there will be violence. And then Cersei just looks at him and she says, I choose violence, right? And in my head, I was like, the translation is order your man to step aside or we're all going to die, right? And I was really looking forward to seeing the Mountain wreck the Faith Militant, because we know that Cersei, she doesn't like obey anyone except for her own selfish desires. So he does kill them, but he only kills one of them. So one of them, he makes a stupid decision to attack the Mountain, and the Mountain doesn't move at all. So then when he tries to attack him again, the Mountain just grabs him and then throws him away and just rips his head off, literally in one fluid motion. And the other Faith Militant, they basically go away, right? Like, so I wish the Mountain would have killed more of them to really send a message to the High Sparrow, but hopefully they'll do it in the season finale, because we all know that eventually Cersei is going to order the Mountain to storm the Sept and kill the Faith Militant. So we'll wait and see for that. So then we cut over to like a meeting of court. So Tommen's addressing the people, and this is the really big bomb that he drops. So he says, from now on, trial by combats are forbidden throughout the entire kingdom. And the look on Cersei's face says it all. She was really counting on her trial by combat, because obviously she was going to pick the Mountain to be her champion, and there's barely anyone in the kingdom who would dare face the Mountain, especially this new version of the Mountain. We don't really know exactly what he is, because he's not quite alive, but he's not quite dead either. He's like somewhere in between. So since Tommen has officially banned all trial by combats, Cersei will have to face an actual trial. So that's why it's another reason I think that Cersei's going to order the Mountain to just storm the Sept and kill everyone. because she knows that if she faces an actual trial, she's gonna lose. And I don't know what the punishment for incest in old times is, but I feel like she might be put to death or something really bad. So obviously she was counting on the mountain to bail her out, but now she can't. And there was one exchange between her and Qyburn where Qyburn was like, "Look, that old rumor you told me about, I had my birds investigated, right? And my spies." And then she's like, Cersei's like, "Was it more than a rumor?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was." And that's how that scene ends. And I was wondering, wait, what rumor are they talking about? Like, is it a rumor regarding the High Sparrow or whatnot? So we don't really find out, and I guess we'll find out in the finale, hopefully. So then we cut over to Meereen. So in Meereen, Tyrion, he's enjoying the peace that his deal with the Masters have brought. And he sends he doesn't send. Varys says he needs to go on some sort of mission or whatever, and he basically leaves Meereen, right? So now Tyrion, he's with Missandei and Grey Worm. I like the moment they had when they were making jokes, because it was, like I said, with between all the dark and foreboding moments, it's nice to have some nice and like light moments like these. So so they're making jokes and all, and I forgot, there was a joke that Missandei makes, and I forgot what it was, but Tyrion, it wasn't funny, I guess, to Tyrion and Grey Worm. So Tyrion, he fakes a laugh, he doesn't want to hurt her feelings, but I like Grey Worm's response, like, "That is the worst joke I've ever heard in my life," like very blunt and to the point, and that had me laughing a bit. So but unfortunately their peace is short-lived, because the Masters, they started attacking the castle for whatever reason. And so in the previews we show that the top of the castle starts shaking, and then even in this one we hear some dragons. So I thought, oh, it's probably the two dragons that Tyrion freed, Dracarys and Viserio, right? So I thought it's probably them two, and it's because like they said in earlier episodes, the dragons, they always protect their friends if they know that you're a friend. So I figured they're probably here to help Tyrion, but it turns out that Daenerys is back. So yeah, we don't get to see a battle between her army and the Masters, but yeah, when I first saw the ships, I actually thought it was the Greyjoys, like Yara and Theon, coming to them. But then when they started attacking, I realized, oh, it was the Masters. So to be honest, I really don't like Daenerys' storyline. Like, and the fact that she just shows up like at this moment, like right when they need her the most, she just happens to show up, even though she was like somewhere else. So, and it was just her, because obviously she was flying on Drogon's back, but her army, who knows where they are. So yeah, I really don't care for her storyline anymore, but I'm only paying attention to her storyline because of Tyrion. But otherwise, I really don't care about her storyline. And now the biggest storyline in this episode, Arya. So as we saw last episode, she was stabbed by the waif, and then she was looking for help, right? So she goes to the same actress whose death she prevented, and the actress, she helps her out, right? So when Arya wakes up in the morning, she finds the actress has been murdered by the waif. And now the waif, she's still out to kill Arya. So then they basically have this big chase scene throughout Braavos. And then eventually the waif corners Arya in a room, right? And at first I don't recognize it, but when Arya pulls out Needle, I realize, oh, that's the same room she was last time. So the waif's like, "You have nowhere to go, right?" And then Arya's like, "Neither do you." And then she uses her sword to cut out the candle, and then the whole place goes dark because there's no other source of light. And this was actually a popular theory, that when the waif and Arya fight, Arya would manage to kill her in the dark, because Arya was blind for a brief amount of time. And so basically she had experience fighting while being unable to see. The waif didn't. And it's proven true when Jaqen, he goes to the Hall of Faces following a trail of blood, and he sees the face of the waif, like, in the hall. So he turns around to see Arya, and then instead of, like, seeming mad about her, he basically smiles. He says, "Finally, a girl is no one." And I love Arya's response to that. She's like, "A girl is Arya Stark of Winterfell, and I'm going home." And then I thought he'd be disappointed again, but he just gives her a smile, and like he looks like he's proud of her, and he goes away. And at first I didn't really understand that, but then I thought about it a bit, and I realized this. So when we saw back in season 5, like when Jaqen kept asking her questions, every time she'd lie, he'd slap her, right? So basically, the question that he slapped her the most on was when he kept asking, "Who are you? Who are you?" And she kept saying, "I'm no one," right? So I feel like because the Faceless Men, they're all about the truth, right? No matter what. And I feel like Jaqen was trying to help Arya achieve the truth, so of who she really is, because throughout the season she's been all over the place trying to find her own, I guess, identity. And finally she gets it that she's a Stark of Winterfell and she needs to be with her family. So I guess that's what Jaqen's ultimate aim was. And I also took in the fact that a face was added to the hall, because Jaqen always says one way or another the price will be paid, one way or another a face will be added to the halls. So the Red God, he doesn't care who dies as long as someone dies and meets his quota. So in this case it was the waif. So that really basically ends the episode. And I wonder if I don't think Arya will manage to get back to Winterfell this season, maybe next season. And I hope she does, because then we'd get like another Stark reunion between her, Jon, and Sansa, assuming they get out fine from the Battle of the Bastards, which is next episodes. And I usually don't talk about previews, but the preview for the next episode, it was pretty awesome. And I hope they focus a lot, like the whole episode, on Winterfell, the same way they did during season 4, episode 9, during the Wall. So yeah, I really can't wait for that episode. So that ends my recap of last Sunday's episode. So what was your favorite moment, and what are you looking forward to as the season wraps up? And whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.